In Japan, there's a saying, Sesoko no umi, the plum blossom under the snow. It's one of the first flowers to bloom even in the coldest part of winter, and while everything else lies dormant, fragile, and lifeless, the plum blossom pushes through the frost and shows its strength when the world least expects it. And that's exactly what winter should be for you. But the reality is, most men will spend these months hiding, comfort eating, numbing themselves with Netflix and skipping the gym and convincing themselves, they'll just start in January, they'll just start in the new year, why don't we just relax this winter? But the ones who use winter as their arc, their season of transformation, they bloom when it matters. And they emerge in spring as new men, stronger, sharper, unrecognizable. And I know this because I've lived it. There were winters where I would just hide under baggy clothes, using the cold as an excuse, just to stay miserable and overweight. And then there were winters where I chose the other path, where I built the discipline, I stacked on muscle, and I transformed in silence. And the difference in who I became was night and day. And this video is going to break down why you need to get jacked in winter. So why now? The dark, quiet months, it's the perfect time to build a physique and a mindset that will carry with you for the rest of your life. There was this one night in December, I left work after a 13-hour shift in the hospital. It was really busy from the start of the shift right through to the end. I was exhausted. I stepped out of the building, walked past the queue ambulances, and the bitter cold just hit me. It was freezing, pitch black. The car park was empty. My body was telling me to go home, to relax, to order a takeaway and just stay up late. But something in me said, if you only show up, when it's easy, you're never going to change. I had my kit with me in the back of the car, so I just went to the gym. Just me, the weights, and silence. And that night taught me something. Winter is the season of transformation. It's where discipline is made, when no one's watching. And in this video, I'm going to show you why this winter could be the most important season of your life if you use it right. Here's the truth, man. Most guys waste winter. They drift, they slack off, and they coast into Christmas, and they wake up in March 5 kilos heavy, more miserable and further away from the man that they want to become. But I'm telling you that winter is the perfect arc for transformation. Like the days are shorter, the nights are longer, there's less social distractions, and the beach and the pool parties, are months away, and you're not under pressure, to look shredded right now, which means you can focus on building. Okay, just think about it for a second. Even nature gets this, trees, plants, animals, birds, winter isn't, it's not wasted time. It's preparation time. The roots go deeper, energy is stored, strength is built, for the spring that's coming next, for the next season of your life, okay? So ask yourself, this winter, are you just going to, let yourself, soften, and shrink? Or are you going to plant the seeds that makes people go, how the hell did he do that? So why is winter the perfect time to build? Okay, so one thing is your appetite goes up and calories can go up too. So in colder weather, your body naturally craves more food. So instead of fighting it, why don't you channel it, okay? Those calories can fuel muscle growth, instead of fat gain, if you're smart about it. And there's also less pressure for, the summer aesthetic body. No one's ripping their shirt off in December. This is your winter, okay? There's no pressure, for abs. You don't need to, be photo shoot ready, which means you can lean into a proper bulk, without obsessing about being shredded, about being lean every single second of the day. Another really good thing is that a winter bulk can break the monotony, okay? What do I mean by this? So like for me, summer cuts, can be exciting. You see lots of progress, you're shredding the fat, but the winter bulks, they break the monotony. It's a refreshing shift. And instead of shrinking, you're building. And instead of, restricting yourself, you're fueling, okay? And that's the shift that keeps the journey exciting. It's a good way to switch up what you've been doing, throughout the summer, getting leaner. Here's the bigger picture, okay? So winter isn't just about gaining muscle. It's about forging a different identity, okay? And most people, they just can't commit through the cold months. They crumble, they hibernate, they turn to junk food and late nights, the Netflix and the takeaways. But if you can commit, if you can train through the darkness, the rain, the cold mornings, that builds more than muscle. That builds discipline, and discipline changes everything. And I remember finishing back-to-back night shifts last winter, my body was wrecked, my mind was foggy, my brain was just fried, and the gym was the last place I wanted to be. But I showed up anyway, not because I wanted to, because I told myself, if I can suffer now, I'll be unstoppable later. And that's the truth. Getting jacked in winter isn't just a physical thing. It's psychological warfare against your old self, the old you that's trying to crawl back in at every opportunity. let's get practical, okay? Here's how you do it without getting fat and wasting the winter. Okay, the first thing is to pick a goal. Okay, so are you chasing raw strength, or do you want to bring up a weak point? Is it your arms, your chest, your back? Write it down, make it tangible, because if you don't have a goal, if you don't have a target, you're just going to drift, okay? And you're not going to be on track. The next thing is the surplus. Forget about dirty blocks, okay? They're not worth it. So you want to aim for 100 to 300 calories above your maintenance level, okay? So if you're over 100 kilos, and you're less concerned about body fat, I'd probably aim closer to the 300 mark. If you're between 80 to 100 kilos, 200 calorie surplus above your maintenance is a good target. And if you're under 80 kilos, 150, to 200 calories, that's it, that's enough, okay? Small, consistent surpluses. And the goal should be to gain 0.5 to 1% of your body weight per month, okay? Any faster than that and you're just risking adding fat, okay? The next thing to do is to track your baseline. And before you start, it's a good idea to track your nutrition for a couple of weeks, okay? So weigh your food, use a scale, okay? Use an app like MyFitnessPal to track what you're eating, to track your nutrition. You need to get a sense of your true maintenance calories, okay? And weigh yourself every day, take an average and then adjust, okay? Now, protein and macros. So you want to aim for around 1.6 to 2 grams of protein per kilo of body weight, okay? At least 50 grams of fat each day for hormonal health, and the rest of it, you just fill in with carbs. And you need carbs, okay? It's your body's main fuel for performance, okay? In terms of supplements, I get this question a lot. 5 grams of creatine is enough each day. Protein powder to top you up, vitamin D, omega-3s, and magnesium, they can all help. Now, when it comes to your training, it doesn't change in a bulk, okay? This is such a big misconception. You still train heavy, you still chase progressive overload, you still hit 15, 20 plus hard sets per muscle group per week. The difference is, in a bulk, you'll recover better, you'll feel a bit stronger, you probably want to push yourself that bit further, and that's why there's such a great time to really test yourself, okay? One of my clients started his lean bulk recently, okay? He's following these exact principles, and after 6 weeks, he noticed real changes. He said, for the first time, I actually feel like I look like I lift, and that's amazing. Okay, man, so winter is coming, and it can either be the season where you get weaker, fatter, just more frustrated with yourself, or it could be the season where you're building the foundation of a physique and a mindset that changes everything. You don't get disciplined in a single day, but you do make a decision, okay? So decide, are you going to coast, like everyone else, and just live the same 12-month cycle on repeat? Or are you going to grind, through the dark, through the cold, through the rain, and emerge in spring as a man that no one recognizes? Because here's the truth, man. The body you want, the confidence you want, the life you want is waiting for you. Yeah, but it's not going to show up in summer if you waste the entire winter. Start now, build now. So when the sun comes back, you don't just look different, you are different. And you need to give it 100%. This is not going to be easy. This is going to be really, really difficult. When you pick one thing and you persevere and you persist, and you build that discipline and don't rely on motivation, you can build something amazing. You can build an entire new life for yourself. Yeah, because if you're able to prove it to yourself, you can wake up early and do those morning runs in the cold and the freezing rain. You can go to the gym after work when you're tired and knackered, and life's just hammering you every single day. And you can eat the repetitive, the boring meals, day in, day out, because there's a bigger goal out there. There's something you're trying to chase. You're trying to chase that next version of you, who's going to be proud of you looking back. Yeah, you are doing this for the future you. And if you can dedicate yourself to this, think about it. When was the last time you gave 100% at something? Was it when you were a kid, and it was a sports race, or was it at school where you studied really hard for exam and you gave it everything? Like, when was the last time you gave 100% at something? And if you're honest with yourself, it probably wasn't for a long time. And this can be the chance for you to start something amazing for yourself, to build a mindset, physique, the body, the life that you're after, to gain that new level of confidence, that lets you wear the clothes you want, that lets you speak up when you otherwise wouldn't. Yeah, it gives you that baseline level of confidence that's so important in life. And it's going to give you that little push, when you're unsure and you don't know about trying this thing, or, starting that business, or writing that book, or asking that girl out. It can literally change your life, okay? And you can apply that to so many different areas, okay? You can apply it to your friendships, to your relationships, to your family life, to your work life, to your social life. There's so many facets of life that if you give 100% to, you can make everything so much better for yourself and for the people around you, okay? So give it your all. I am telling you, life is too short to die wondering, okay? And if you want help with that, you want someone to keep you accountable every step of the way, guide you through your nutrition, your training, give you accountability, then head to the first link in the description. You can apply to work with me. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next one, man. Peace.